You now tuned in to the Gumptown Podcast. I'm your boy Doug B. We ain't got nothing to talk about, but we got something to talk about. Let's go. Good people. Welcome back to the Gumptown Podcast, episode 33. I'm your boy Doug B. If you tuned in to this podcast, thank you for your time and your attention. I really appreciate you giving this podcast a shot. Before we bring on today's guest, we got something to talk about, good people. Got some financial literacy to talk, all right? Got 3 things I want to share with you all that I've been utilizing in my own life for the past couple of years. No, I'm not a financial advisor. I found everything I know about finances through Google. I'm here by the grace of Google, all right? First things first, pay yourself first. You may ask yourself, what does pay yourself first mean? Whether you get paid once a month, twice a month, once a day, pay yourself first. Put some money aside for rainy days, because rainy days will come. Put some aside for those emergency funds. Or whether you just want to put some aside for investments. Pay yourself first, good people. Trust me. And I'm not counting nobody's pockets. Whatever you can afford, do that. Every pay period, put aside $10, $15. Over time, you'll build up your nest egg and it'll just be there. And if you don't have to use it, guess what? You got some extra funds sitting around for investments or whatever you want to do with it. Number 2, stop using your debit card so much. Build your credit using your credit card, meaning the same expenses you would usually charge to your debit card, charge to your credit card and pay it off. All right. I've done that over the past couple of years. It's allowed me to build my credit. And I'm just saying it's a useful tool, utilizing credit cards. Credit cards are not bad. They are just tools. You have to tell tools what to do. It's no difference from using a hammer. You can construct, you can destruct. So use some credit cards wisely, all right? And number 3, if your credit is messed up and you can't qualify for a credit card, or if you're just in a bad financial position, either way, go over to thecreditelect.com. The homie Will Frazier is over there. He's ready to help you build your credit back up, get you back on the right track. All right, good people, that's all we got to talk about for today. On with today's show. Today's guest, she is the founder and owner of Chayil Media Publishing, LLC. I'm looking forward to this conversation, and I'm sure you all will be inspired by her story. Let's give a warm Gumptown round of applause for Danielle Wallace. Danielle, how's it going?
All is well. I am doing wonderful at the start of a new month, and I appreciate you for inviting me to be a guest on your podcast.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's great to hear, and I appreciate you accepting my invitation to come on the podcast. And I looking forward to the conversation.
Absolutely.
So, of course, we're here to talk about Chayil Media Publishing, but before we get there, let's get to know the woman behind the brand. What's your story?
Yeah, so in terms of my story, I am a person that, I believe my purpose is here to tell stories in a great capacity. So, that has been something that I've been passionate about ever since I was a child. Writing and reading was my thing. And from a very young age, I knew that, hey, my chosen career path when I was a child was I wanted to be a reporter. I wanted to be a journalist, whether that was on TV, whether that was for a print publication or what have you. And so I went on to study broadcast journalism at Troy University, and I minored in communication studies there as well. Went on to work at 2 great news stations here in Alabama. The first one was in Dothan, Alabama at WTBY News 4. And the second station that I worked at was here in Montgomery, Alabama News Network. So, during those times, for the most part, I was what you call a one-woman show, writing, shooting, editing all of my stories, up until probably like the last year or so of me being in news, where I had a photographer, which really, amped up creativity, had someone there to really, have that second pair of eyes to collaborate with. So that is my story so far. And in between, during that time, I did a lot of freelance writing. While I was in college, I self-published a poetry book called Her Poetic Cinema of Life. That was probably my first time actually, marketing something myself. And after that, while I was in the trenches of news, I started a blog. It was a Christian women's blog, which is now a digital and print magazine. And so I grew that and grew it while I was working in news. And going back to the time where I was in college, I knew at some point, hey, I wanted to start some type of business, but I didn't know where, that would go. So, and here I am now.
What a story. That's a great story. Let me ask, are you from Montgomery or you just went to school here?
No, I am not from Montgomery. I am from Atmore, Alabama.
Okay. Okay. Right up the street. Okay. I believe they have
Mhm.
a world famous casino up there in Atmore.
Absolutely, yes.
That's awesome. Awesome. So let's talk a little more about Chayil Media Publishing. What exactly do you have going on over there, products and services wise?
Yeah, so Chayil Media Publishing is a boutique, meaning it's a boutique, small copywriting and brand storytelling studio. And essentially, what I do is I write words that connect and convert your audience. That is what I do for different coaches, course creators, consultants, service providers. People that have product-based brands, I write their website copy for them, their sales pages, if they have like a program or a course, webinar, masterclass. I write their email copy for them in terms of email marketing. I write their social media captions for them. So any types of words that you want to put out there to connect and convert your audience, that is what I do. And all in the midst of that, before I write anything for anyone, I'm big on strategy. And I'm big on, really getting to know the ins and out of any brand to really weave in the storytelling aspect of it. So I'm very keen on storytelling. And what I say is, I help powerhouse brands flip facts into cohesive sales driven narratives. And so I do that based on my background in journalism. And that's what I bring to the table for them in the world of marketing their business.
Wow, you're doing some great things over there, and that's the most powerful thing you said. What you were talking about, you make sure you speak with your client and you pay attention to detail, like versus just coming off the top of your head. You actually make sure you telling their story the way they want it told. That's important. That's
Yes, it
important.
is. Absolutely. It really is. And so essentially, everything that I learned in news, I've taken those transferable skills and infused them into what I do now. And, especially like paying close attention to details, weaving in the storytelling aspect, just really tapping into making sure, hey, knowing what their audience wants to hear from them, what's going to make them take action and drive them on a journey towards taking action. So that's essentially what I do.
That's great. That's great. Transferable skills. That is definitely that's commendable that you were able to identify those skills and take that from the 9 to 5 world into what you do now as an entrepreneur. So that transition right into my next point perfectly. Whenever I have entrepreneurs on the platform like yourself, I like to talk about three things: the
Mhm.
aha moment, action, and audacity. Let's start with your aha moment. Obviously, you have a passion for writing and telling stories. So let's go back to that moment where you had the idea to turn that passion into a business. What was your aha moment?
That's a very great question. So, when I was in college, when I self-published my poetry book, I had in the back of my head probably like, okay, down the line, maybe I want to start a business somewhere down the line. But at the time it's like, okay, you know, you're in school or whatnot, and what happens, you'll figure it out along the way. And so as I continued, on my journey in the news world, things started becoming clear to me about what was missing, in terms of, what people needed out there, what people came to me for, like just freelance writing, what they needed help with, telling their story and their brand, or just weaving things together where it really made sense. And so, things started coming together. I would also, while I was working in news, I taught creative writing classes voluntarily, just, doing things where just trying to put all the pieces together. And back in, I guess, 2018 was when I started maybe taking things a bit more serious, like, okay, you can build something off of this. And this is the way the pieces to the puzzle kept coming together. So I began to, see more clients in an official type of way back in 2018. And so I officially launched Chayil Media Publishing in 2019. But the aha moment was, just definitely, I guess, seeing the gap that was out there and just putting the pieces of the puzzle together from over the years of the things that I've done, and just, really nailing down, okay, this is what's missing in the marketplace for these types of businesses. And I know I can help them in this capacity using the skills that I've gained over the years. And so probably the aha moment that I had was probably back in 2018, just seeing those pieces come together, where I started getting clients here and there. And then officially I launched my business in June of 2019. And here we are.
That's great. No, that is great. And I like the part where you were talking about how you volunteered to teach a class just to hone in on your craft and your skill set. So that tells me you were serious about this. Like, it wasn't something you wanted to build a founder or play around. Like, you definitely wanted to go all in and give you all to this. So that's commendable in itself. And you pretty much answered my next question, which was going to be, how long after the aha moment did you take action towards starting a business? And it didn't take you a very long time to get started once you realized what you wanted to do. And the reason why I ask that question all the time is because a lot of times we get hung up on ideas. We get paralyzed by fear. We get paralyzed by overthinking. And it sounds like you didn't do a whole bunch of overthinking.
No, I really didn't. I had, I kind of had in my head, what I wanted this to look like a long time ago. It's just, it wasn't that clear, right? And I've really never been a person that was afraid to, I guess, take action on things. It's just, I always say, you just gotta move forward and see what happens. You know what I mean? You never know what happens. And so that's what I did back in 2018. And I thought about that earlier today. It's like, how sometimes you're scared to just take that one action. Like that, the first client that I got was, I put myself out there for them, to trust me or whatnot. And, you just gotta do it and build from there and build from there. And, you'll see success.
Yes, ma'am. That is spot on. And no, that's great. That's great stuff. Great stuff. So in between the aha moment and action, I like in the middle, I like to call it the bridge between aha and action. I like to call it audacity. It takes courage and audacity to step out there and actually start your own. Who or what gave Danielle the courage to step out there to start this?
No one other than God Almighty Himself gave me the audacity to do it. Because you can tell people your plans all day or whatnot, and some people might have positive opinions, some might have negative opinions or whatnot. But I think at the end of the day, me being the person that I am, I take things to God, and that is how I, guide through. That's my guidance right there, and tapping into His will for what I need to do. That is what gave me the audacity to move forward. It felt right to move in that direction to start a business in this capacity, because I just, I knew from over the years, just seeing what was missing and definitely seeing how I could help people, and knowing that in the back of my head, hey, I wanted to help people with storytelling in a different capacity um, outside of news. So, nothing but God himself.
No, that's amazing. That's great. And like you just said, like people have their negative and their positive remarks and things of that nature. And God is really all you need. That's all the audacity you do need to make it out here. I just always love to ask that question because I'm always curious, like because sometimes you have family and friends that push people forward, and sometimes it's just God. And in your case, you just had God, and like you were saying earlier, you identified a gap, and you said, you know what?
Mhm.
I can fill that gap. And that's powerful in itself because a lot of times because it's one of those things where you saw that you took action because here's the thing. We get caught up in this whole notion of I don't know if I want to do it because people might not like it, people might not fool with it, but just do it anyway. People who like it will, people who won't. So what? As long as you like it, get started, you know?
Exactly. Yep. That's all that matters. At the end of the day, you can't care what, other people's opinions are. And, also do remember having a conversation way back when, probably 2018, 20, probably no, it's 2017. And I had a conversation with my mom about it. And she was like, you know what, you can do it. You just keep on going. You can do it. And so, you know, you can do whatever your mind you're thinking of or whatnot. Just, you don't have to resort to everyone else's opinions in the process.
I agree 100%. I agree. So I've had a chance to check out your website and look at some of the testimonials, and I see you doing some great things over there. Chayil Media Publishing has been rocking and rolling. You've done great things and will continue to do great things. So that leads me to my next point. Let's talk about vision. What are your short
Mhm.
term and long term goals for the business?
Yeah, so I have a few things that I'm working on right now in terms of, trying to help people. A big thing right now is trying to help people, understand the power of email marketing more. And, one of my, big goals is for people to really tap into the power of, how storytelling is unique for their business. It is the ultimate way for you to stand out in a noisy digital space. So, my long-term goal is to, to get more people to understand, why that is so. Because so often, from my perspective, when I'm reading stuff, watching stuff, I see a lot of brands sounding and looking the same. And so I know that if you, came to the table with more brand storytelling, that you would stand out and you wouldn't feel the need to battle algorithms or feel that no one is really paying attention to your service or your product. There's a way to stand out, and it's all in your brand's unique DNA. So I just want more people to understand that. And so I have a few things that I'm working on to help people in that capacity.
Wow, that's great. That's great. And I definitely I know all of those. I know those short term and long term goals. I know you'll bring those goals to fruition. And quite frankly, like you were just saying, that whole storytelling things. So this is a bit off script, but I just want to ask this question because I have somewhat of an idea of the power of storytelling, but from your perspective, you do this for a living full time. What exactly is the power of storytelling?
So, in terms of the power of storytelling, well, you know, I always say that it bridges the gap between your clients and your customers. And, just to give you an example of this, and I shared this probably on social media, today or something like that. It was, just some free value for people in terms, it was like some storytelling prompts, right, for the month. And they are prompts to get your creative juices flowing. Let's say, what's an example? One of the days is like National Honesty Day. And I mentioned, hey, this is a storytelling prompt for National Honesty Day. You can use it in the form of telling people how the process of your service or your product works, and tell people something that they will be surprised about knowing about your process. And but also circle it back around to the potential client or customer. The key is not to make it all about you per se. The purpose of any storytelling type of content, whether it's in your social media, whether that's in your email marketing, is to start it out with something relatable, but circle it back around to the potential client or customer, where they say, "Hey, this I can relate to this. This sound, and she or he or they're talking right, straight to me. They really are pulled in and engaged." And so, why the power of storytelling, or how is it so powerful? Well, it is, the oldest form of communication. It's digestible. People understand it more. It just pulls people in versus stating some facts about your business that every other business in your industry has as well. So it's something to make you stand out versus saying the same thing over and over again that everybody else is saying.
That was a great breakdown. That's exactly what I was looking for. I mean, I'm not gonna add anything to it. If you're listening, go listen back to the power of it. If you want to separate yourself from the rest, you just got some gems there. So no, that's good. That's great stuff. Appreciate that background. That
You're
breakdown.
welcome. Mm-hmm.
So let's get to the $1 million question as we wrap up the podcast. Whenever I have entrepreneurs on this platform, well, I started this platform to shed light on the greatness coming out of Montgomery. Whether you were born here, whether you lived here for a long period of time or significant period of time. So let's talk about the Gump in terms of how has the city helped you evolve as a woman and an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I think I've been here for quite a while now, and I think that the people here in the community are very helpful in terms of sharing the resources that you need or helping you in any capacity that you need. And when I worked in news, I made so many different connections with people that are in charge of different things in the city, whether that be with the chamber or any other organizations. And so I made sure to, continually keep in touch with them. And they're always, always willing to, share different resources or help in any capacity. So that is probably the main thing, the community of people here that are very helpful in the professional space. So community, that's what I would say.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Powerful stuff. And I definitely agree with you in terms of the community. I know, and the reason I asked that question about Montgomery gets a bad rap, but it's a good core of people here. It's a good community of people here.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to
Yeah.
be. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a great group of people here. I've had the pleasure of working with some people um, with some new stuff from downtown, writing website copy for them. One of my clients is here. So, some great people here.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So Danielle, how can the people connect with you? What are your social media handles?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram as Chayil Media Publishing. I'm pretty sure you'll share the links because me spelling it out is very long. But on Instagram, I am Chayil Media Publishing. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn as Danielle Wallace. You can connect with me on Twitter as Danielle Wallace. My handle on there is Delaney's Writing, DELANEYS, and the word writing. So you can catch me in those places.
Okay, good stuff. And of course, I'll put all of the social media handle information in the description of the episode. Hey, Danielle, thanks again for this conversation. I really appreciate you.
You're very welcome. Thanks again for inviting me. It was great, sharing a little bit more with people here in Montgomery. So anytime.
Yes, ma'am. Good people, that concludes another dope episode of the Gumtown Podcast. We gone, but before we leave, remember, be blessed, be safe, but most importantly, have the audacity to be you. Gone. Thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate your time and your attention. Until next time.